All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, we've covered the whole thing about how the Democrats loved Trump before he came down the escalator, all the altruism he expressed in that, but once he showed that he was a Republican and that even though he had been talking like a Republican for years, once he came down that escalator, they were intent on turning him into the boogeyman, because that's the only way they knew to stop him, because he was a populist and he said things that people always wanted to hear from their politicians, that they were going to deal with crime, that they were going to deal with lawlessness within the administrative state, that they were going to he was going to deal with the illegal alien crisis. And these were all things people wanted to hear. So what they wanted to do then is turn him into the boogeyman. That he was going to put gay people in jail or mental institutions, that he was going to take away their children. There was all sorts of horrible things being said about him that he never did. He never would have done. But yet people believed it. I mean, when you go around a group of them and you hear what they said, that he's going to put Democrats in concentration camps and sterilize LGBT. This is the kind of stuff that they actually thought Trump was going to do, that they were convinced by them. And even every day you hear these people from Congress say stuff about Trump that simply isn't true. And they go on the talking points about fascism and Nazism and racism and all that. And, they said, Trump's a racist. They had this fake story about Charlottesville and all this stuff that they were hanging their hat on. So it's no wonder why someone like Corey Allen, I think his name was, off the top of my head, would think this, because he's been fed it. He's been fed this propaganda for so long, and so many people have been fed this propaganda for so long. It must be true, and it isn't. So this has inspired people who are mentally unstable to do what they did. And then after an incident like this happens, they say, we're going to bring down the temperature with our rhetoric and all this. And then they don't. The 24 hours later, they're back at it. They're not going to stop until somebody succeeds. It's that simple. They're not going to stop. I have grave concerns about the safety of our president because of this. And I think most people do. They're completely devoid of any kind of reasoning, coherent reasoning. And I think they target the mentally ill, because when you see the people who come to these events, these No Kings events, they're either very old hippies whose brains are fried from decades and decades of cannabis and other drug use, or they're still into the Timothy Leary, tune in and drop out, tune out and drop out, kind of mentality. Or they went to too many Grateful Dead concerts. You know what they say at a Grateful Dead concert when everybody runs out of weed? Man, this music sucks. The getting back to the they target them. They target the young people because they've been indoctrinated in school. They're confused about their gender and their place in life. You take a look at these people. All they're much good for is working a drive-through. That's it. That's why they want to say, oh, well, we're not making a living wage. Well, you know what? Stop coloring your hair blue and have piercings all over your fucking face. Maybe you'll be able to get a better job. I sure as hell don't want a person selling me insurance looking like that, or I don't want a lawyer looking like that. Come on. Really. That they probably have a degree in some kind of stupid liberal arts that has no practical use in society. That's why you're working at McDonald's. So a lot of people like that are the ones who show up to protest. They're so mentally ill, they cheer when a conservative dies. They cheered Saturday night, the protesters outside the Correspondents' Dinner cheered when they found out about somebody who attacked somebody who fired shots. An independent journalist actually caught this on video, their cheers. So I'll put the name of that journalist in my comments because I don't know who it is off the top of my head, and I will put that in my first comment and pin it so it's there. Yeah, these people are nuts. These people are crazy, like Trump said at the State of the Union. It's unbelievable just how nuts they are. And every day I pass this, Freddy's Steak Burgers is closer and closer to being finished. Oh man, I can't wait till they're open. So they have been cheering the deaths of people. They've been cheering they've been trying to kill people. They tried to kill somebody I'm not particularly fond of, but I would never wish anyone dead. But you had one of their Palestinian extremist people try to kill Josh Shapiro, who's a Democrat, because he's a Jew. And everybody's going on and on about Shapiro running for president. There's no way these mentally ill people who are anti-Semites are going to elect someone to a national office, to the presidency of the United States. There's just no way it's going to happen. So we're definitely looking at a mental health issue here, and they pander to the mentally ill. That's their base. Many of them are mentally ill because they actually believe this shit. Some of them shove it out there and really don't believe it. But then you have these people who are, all in on it. Like the Squad. They believe every word of this shit. But they say we're the haters. Now, a last thing I want to say about what they call Republicans fascists. Fascists attempt to assassinate their opposition. So who the fuck are the fascists?